I'm a native Californian, Texan at heart. Would like to say that if America isn't first, then who is? Because the world doesn't play by everybody gets a trophy. China is pretty much just our bad abusive relationship that takes advantage of us. And where's our middle class America anymore? The belt. We know that China will have us in the WTO or will be in the WTO and will take advantage of everything that we do. And they they know as they want to sell their big, vast market of people, they know that the economic freedom of their citizens will completely hinder their economic power or threaten their political power. And that will not take place, as Tiananmen Square all showed us. So, why aren't we looking back to historical events to see where we are in the world? The EU was built upon a governing taxing entity to become economically competitive with the United States. We all know that to be true. And everybody is taking advantage of where we are prosperous. When everybody and all of this started last century, it was we did our thing and everybody wanted to be a part of it. And everything was going to stay the same here. And all we've gotten used to is a lot of cheap stuff. And if it hasn't shown our dependency on China with antibiotics, PPE, I mean, I don't know, COVID restrictions, I mean, viral,
Yeah,
a lab leak.
Rib,
It's not. I mean, pick a
Ribbon,
side.
Ribbon, you gave us so much there and you spoke for tens of millions. Dan, what do you think of what Ribbon said? Or
I
question
mean,
for
look,
Ribbon?
yeah, no, Ribbon, a lot of what you say is right. I think the challenge is we are so integrated now with China. I think where the shame of this is in terms of the confrontation with China is if Donald Trump had run for in 2023 and 2024 and said, this is going to be a multi-year battle. There's going to be a lot of pain. We may have inflation, but this is necessary because it is a war we have to win to bring back manufacturing. And as you say, pharmaceuticals and our war machine needs and our AI and everything. Instead, what he said is it's going to be easy, art of the deal. Don't worry. Because he's always trying to paint it as we win. I don't break a sweat. Like I know what I'm doing. He set
Totally
this
agree.
up. He set it up for failure.
So I said on election night, the idea that Trump is going to be some savior that comes in, he needs to be honest with the American people. We had an inflated stock market, overvalued stock market at the end of the 90s. We had a balanced budget that back-ended everything in liability for President Bush or the former president.
You love Bill Clinton, just say it.
I do not love Bill Clinton, but I was in China talking to the chief economist as a graduate student, and listened to him as they were entering the WTO. And I asked my professor and asked anybody else, are we going to have to ask them to send us some bolts and hold off on invading us at any point because we are dependent on everything now? I mean, it's becoming absolutely asinine as to where we are. And yes, people need to realize it's gonna hurt. We're Occupy Wall Street. Now we care about Wall Street. Make up your mind. I mean, if you wanted, Dan, if your party wanted to be that
Yeah.
genuine about student loans, why didn't they just defer the interest payment? Why do they play this whole thing on going on with things? Why
Ribbon,
didn't they just defer the
Ribbon,
interest payment?
Ribbon, I think you'd beat JD Vance in a primary, just so you know. Sean, go ahead.
First of all, I love the way you started off this. It's very Ricky Bobby. If we're not first, we're last.
Yeah.
And I will say, I was just looking it up when you're talking. If someone in the chat months ago recommended Michael Pillsbury book on China, the 100-Year War, and I because I read the chat. I bought the book as I listened to the podcast that get recommended and all the stuff that you guys tell me to do. And it is as somebody who is a China hawk to begin with, it added more fuel to the fire. The idea that, as I've said before, we should be doing it anyway, but then we go through COVID and we sit there and realize the consequences of not having our own PPE and our manufacturing base and still twiddle our thumbs, to me is mind blowing. And what I would like to see is, and that's the same thing with debt. right? Why are we like everyone keeps saying, oh, we just need to, raise like we have a spending problem in this country, we have a debt problem in this country, and it affects the ability for the country to serve its future generations. And yet we sit around twiddling our fingers every year. We allow people to go on an app like TikTok, which literally is a national security threat because we're afraid to tell people, gosh, I know you're addicted to an app I mean, this is literally the COVID equivalent of an app. They're sitting around, people are like, well, we can't tell people to stop doing it because now they're addicted to it. Of course you're addicted to it. How do you think that they set this thing up from the go? So I think over and over again, we've got these big existential problems that no one wants to deal with. And at least I will give President Trump the bulk of the credit for being the first politician of either party to really tackle some of these. Now, in some of them, I think we should be more aggressive, frankly.
I agree.
But we've been kicking the can down the road over and over again, sending John Kerry over there talking about climate change as if they really care about that.
Well, I will say Barack Obama with TPP was talking about trying to encircle them. And it was one of the things Trump first ran against.
He was.
And I again, but at the end of the day, as someone who was there at the launch of TPP, the way that was structured, yes, it would have been potentially a cudgel to China, but it would have been at the detriment of the United States and our ability to get market share from Southeast Asian countries.
Well, I mean, to some extent, but look, what are all these? Here's the challenge. What are all these companies looking at that are in China? Getting out of China to go somewhere, not back here. Whether
some are.
Well, that's because it's too expensive to do business here, Dan.
Yeah.
I agree. Look,
and why is that? It's because of government policy. It's because of government regulation. It's because of taxations. Why is that?
Hey, want to be part of the two-way community all the time? Hit the subscribe button. Great video clips like this, plus conversations like no other, full episodes and more, always available on this channel. You got to hit subscribe to never miss a thing.